South Africa is one of the few places where they're very like self-conscious about being South African on an international scale. There was a lot of times where, there was that whole era in South African music where it's like, oh no, but it's good for local. It's good for local, but or they'd say a song sounds international, bro. That means it sounds good. And I was always like, what the f does that even mean? You know what I mean? Because working at Warner Brothers, which is like $1 billion park, our GM is South African. You know what I mean? And we have so many South Africans around the globe who are influential, who are making massive impact, and who are respected internationally. But in South Africa, they don't know their stories, bro. They don't know, for example, the guy who's GM at $1 billion theme park, no one from South Africa is going to hear his story. So he, as a South African young businessman or entrepreneur, is not going to know that this is the global platform that South Africans are affecting. And that's why it's so important what you're doing when you're interviewing such a span of people who are contributing, bro, to culture, to South Africa, to identity, to the global platform, and are having an impact globally. I think South Africa really needs to understand how much they're celebrated overseas. And that's why I appreciate your show. Holla. Yeah. And, with identity, it's also my accent, because I've had to adapt so many times. In South Africa, I look like a colored guy, but I don't talk like one. So people will be like, why are you trying to be, who you trying to speak like that? But when I was younger, it fucked with me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I just wanted to belong. I didn't want to have to justify who I am to every single person I'd speak to. They'd be like, hey, good to meet you. Yo, oh, but why do you talk like that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's actually, I kind of developed a speech impediment, or I just got lazy with speaking because I'd rather mumble and then have people hear me speak. So, music and rapping was really an expression through that. And it's funny that, the thing that was most scrutinized by society is what I express and what I put out there in the world.
In the household, bro, do you feel like there's any challenges from I don't want to get too deep or like scratch anything, or anything that you are comfortable with?
I'm looking at my wife right now while you ask me if there's because you go from like being a small boy in the Caribbean in Dominica, and then we went to squatting in London, to living in Amsterdam, to living in Cape Town. 3 different realities, bro. 3 totally different worlds, and this is like before the age of 16, you're having to go through all these changes, because I was in the UK when it was my formative years, and I was just absorbing the world around me. The music from the UK is so influential in my music taste, and the music in the Caribbean and music in South Africa and hip hop, and like, these are fundamental. If you listen to my music, these are like the building blocks, but they are really diverse sounds, and I think that's why I play with so many different styles. And I think, people always tell you, oh, you got to stick to one lane and you got to be consistent, but it's just not my reality, bro, because of the life I've been given. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Guys, because you find a lot of talented guys who actually act and feel that they are entitled. So they won't do the hard work, or they won't do certain things and be like, why aren't they looking for me? Why aren't they calling me?
That's true. And I was one of those people. I was like, yo, why is this so, it comes so easy, but I've learned, like, Doesn't matter who you are, you have to show up. Like, people don't care. People don't care. You have to show up. And being in Joburg, like, taught me and Tuesday how to hustle. Because honestly, as I was saying, the people in the industry aren't always the best, you know.
Yeah.
But they consistently show up, and it's always about who's knocking on the door, bro. Because if somebody's gonna book an artist, they're gonna go to the artist who's on the top of their mind. They're not gonna go to the, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is, dog. It's like, you want to play in the big leagues. It's consistency. It's a different mentality, bro. You know, it's not impressing the people on your block anymore, dog. It's you showing up every time. Me, like, this idea of success, this idea of fame. There's a lot of young artists that reach out to me a lot of the time asking for advice, and they want to, like, yo, how do I blow up? How do I, you know, put me on? And all of these things. And that, you know, we all grow up with this idea of success, and we're sold this idea of success. And I've come to learn that fame really ain't shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are still chasing fame, and we see fame like through one dimension. We see success through one dimension. And I think the credibility and the caliber of people you have on your show, bro, these are people that I admire, you know. And these are like some of my peers, like men like B, Ready D, like, these are legends, bro. You know what I mean? And you're putting all of these different people on, bro. You had Mel Jones on the show, and it's just like all these amazing people, you know. You're like redefining success, or like expanding the scope of success, and I appreciate that. I think that's so important.